What it is, what it do. I'm A1, this is the Division, and it seems like lately I've been getting a lot of requests from people asking to see what my PvP build looks like. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all my current PvP build. Now before we get started, I do want to quickly mention that this build is sort of a work in progress. I think the ideal build would have all gear set pieces with a 240 gear score, but as of right now I only have two pieces that have a gear score of 240. So yeah, keep in mind that this build is a work in progress, and if y'all are interested in seeing this build in the next week or two after I've made some improvements, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Alright, so if I had to name this build, I would call it a Sentry's Call DPS build. As you see right here, I have 281,000 DPS, 81,000 health, and only 5,000 skill power. Now when it comes to skill power, I would rather have at least 10,000 skill power, and a good way I could have made that happen is if I had gotten a good holster that had not only firearms and stamina but also electronics. But the holsters that I've gotten up to this point usually either have stamina or firearms, but they never have electronics. So that's sort of why my electronics is really low at the moment. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the stats. Here's the primary attributes. Here's the weapon stats. You can see I have 45% critical hit chance, as well as 135% critical hit damage. And 45% for that chance is more than enough because it maxes out at 60%. And when you take into account you can get more critical hit chance from some of your weapon talents and some of your gear attributes, 45% is more than enough because again, it maxes out at 60%. Let's see, we also got headshot damage, accuracy. I'm gonna just quickly scroll through the rest of them so you can see. When it comes to combat, we have 20% damage to elites, health on kill, which is really useful in PvP. And those are the rest. Let's see, skills. Again, I'm lacking in skill power at the moment. Hopefully we can get some better loot to drop in the incursion over the next week or two so I can increase that skill power. Survivability. Yeah, the main thing I wanted to point out was armor. Right now it's at 64.5%. I could get it up to 65%, but I would have to recalibrate in order to do so. And in order to recalibrate my gear at the moment, I'm gonna have to spend a ton of credits because I've already recalibrated each of them many times. So right now it's stuck at 64.5%. Health regeneration, and again I'm gonna just quickly scroll through the rest of these. Another important stat that you want to try to increase is your exotic damage resilience. I feel like if I could get that somewhere between 20 and 25%, that would be perfect, but right now it's at 14%. Quickly scroll through the rest, and yeah, those are all the stats at the moment. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weapons. My primary is the AUG that the Special Gears vendor was selling last week, I believe. Let's see, we got headshot damage and accuracy, magazine size and rate of fire, hip fire accuracy and accuracy and critical hit damage. Now when it comes to these two weapon attachments right here, I usually keep these the same. I don't really change these that often. When it comes to the magazine, I have changed this one before. I've also used this magazine size and critical hit damage, and I also used this magazine size and overall weapon damage, and they were both pretty decent. For this attachment right here, I also used accuracy with critical hit chance, as well as headshot damage and critical hit chance as well. So I sort of switch out between those, especially if my critical hit chance is lowered, then I'll end up putting one of these attachments on. But yeah, that's pretty much it for all the attachments for my AUG. As for my first wave, this is only a 163 gear score first wave. I did purchase the blueprint from the Dark Zone yesterday, and I've been saving up materials like crazy. I plan on crafting a new first wave in another video, probably within the next day or two. So for now, I'm just going to be showing the 163 gear score first wave, but I do have the blueprint for a first wave with a gear score of 204. So I'll probably be replacing this weapon very soon. But anyways, for the optic, I have headshot damage and critical hit chance. I also have magazine size, critical hit damage. Let's see, accuracy and initial bullet stability. And the reason I'm using this one is because I don't have that many good under barrel attachments. So I believe this one increased my DPS the most, and that's why I ended up choosing it. And for my muzzle, I'm using accuracy with critical hit chance. So lots of critical hit chances, and I also got some critical hit damage as well. I don't think the pistol really matters, but we're gonna go ahead and show it anyway. Let's see, it does have a gear score of 163, but it's a hell of a lot better than the pistol that has a 204 gear score. So that's why I'm using this one. And let's see, we get critical hit chance, magazine size, accuracy, and stability. So alright, so before we move on to the gear, I do want to quickly point out that remember, my critical hit chance is at 45%, which is pretty good. The reason I didn't increase it anymore is because my weapon has, well, the first talent is brutal, which seems like a necessity when it comes to PvP. But the second talent is vicious, which increases your critical hit chance by 13.5%. So you take that 13.5% and you add it to the 45% that we already have, and that comes out to about 58.5%. Which again, the max is at 60, so I think we're pretty good when it comes to critical hit chance. What other perks do we have? We have brutal, vicious, and meticulous. And on my first wave, I have vicious, swift, and ferocious. And when it comes to PvE, ferocious is definitely one of the best talents you can have on your weapons. And the talents I have on my pistol are expert and brutal. Alright, so we've gone over all of the stats as well as the weapons and weapon attachments. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the gear. Alright, so when it comes to the chest piece in PvP, you have to rock the chest piece that has the reckless talent, because that's going to increase the amount of damage that you can do by 13.5%. And I know it says increase incoming damage by 10%, but right now it's bugged. And it actually decreases the amount of damage that you can take, but it is supposed to be fixed in the next patch. But as for right now, you definitely want to try to get a vest that has this reckless talent. Now, the way that I got this vest was I purchased the stamina vest blueprint in the dark zone from the dark zone gear vendor. And that's how I was able to get this vest with the 204 gear score. The health on kill is pretty decent. It also has health and armor. I would prefer to have increased ammo capacity instead of increased kill XP. And for the skill attributes, I would prefer to have pulse critical hit damage instead of sticky bomb damage. But beggars can't be choosers. Anyways, here's the vest that I'm currently rocking whenever I'm in the dark zone. Now, in order to do a lot of damage in PvP, I would definitely recommend that you try to get at least 4 pieces of the Sentry's Call gear set. For those who don't know, when you equip at least 4 pieces of the Sentry's Call gear set, you're going to get 30% headshot damage, 20% damage to elites, as well as the Stalker talent. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Stalker talent is one of the best, if not the best, talents in the game when it comes to PvP. I've tried the Tactician gear set, I've tried the Striker's Battle gear set. I haven't really tried the Nomad gear set yet, but I would imagine that out of all 4 of those gear sets, this Stalker talent is definitely the best when it comes to PvP. Anyways, as for my mask, it has exotic damage resilience. It also has blind death resistance as well as pulse critical hit damage bonus. And really happy it has that pulse critical hit damage bonus because that's one of the skills I use. When it comes to knee pads, let's see what we got. We got critical hit damage, armor, burn resistance, scavenging, which is pointless at the moment, blind death resistance, and support station healing speed. And this is the gear piece where I actually tried to recalibrate the armor to increase it. If I could increase it a little bit closer to 300, I would be at 65% mitigation. But until then, I'm going to be stuck at 64.5%. And when it comes to the skill attributes, obviously anything to do with the pulse would be ideal. But support station healing speed can be useful when it comes to incursion, not really useful when it comes to PvP. The next piece we're going to go over is the backpack. And right now I only have one Sentry's Call backpack, and I have 18% critical hit damage, 53% bleed resistance, some more pulse critical hit damage bonus, as well as the first aid ally heal. And I actually use the first aid and the pulse, so those skill attributes are really good for this build. Anyways, next up we have the gloves, and I actually have quite a few different gloves that I use. The ones I'm currently using are these Tactician's Authority gloves, mainly because they have a gear score of 240. And these gloves increase my marksman rifle damage, as well as the critical hit chance, and it increases my critical hit damage by 39%, which is a lot. So these are some really good gloves. When it comes to the skill attributes, obviously I would prefer to have something to do with the pulse, increasing the duration or the damage. But for right now, I'm stuck with turret damage. But these aren't the only gloves that I've been using. I've also been using the high-end gloves with the Savage talent. As you can see here, this is like the perfect role for some high-end gloves. The only thing that I don't like about these gloves is that they have a gear score of 163. But yeah, I've also used these gloves as well. They have the Savage talent, which increases your hit chance by 13%. And again, if you add that 13% to the 45% we already have, it comes to 58%. And again, the max is 60, so that's pretty useful. And as you can see right here, it increases your critical hit chance by 6%, your critical hit damage by 33%, and your submachine gun damage by 381. And on top of that, it also has pulse critical hit damage as well. So yeah, these are like the perfect gloves in my opinion. But again, they only have a gear score of 163. So that's why I've been using these Tactician's gloves at the moment. And last up, we have the holster. And for my holster, I'm using the Sentry's Call holster, which is one of my worst holsters at the moment. But again, you have to have at least 4 of the Sentry's Call gear equipped in order to have that Stalker talent unlocked. So that's why I'm using this Sentry's Call holster. But this Striker's holster is definitely the best holster that I have at the moment. Just kind of wishing it was a Sentry's Call instead of a Striker's. But yeah, that's pretty much my current PvP build. I've been using it for the past week and I've had a lot of success using it. I do also use different variations of this build. Sometimes I may use the Savage gloves instead of the Tactician gloves, and as you can see, I still have 4 Sentry pieces. Other times I'll use Sentry gloves, and then I'll just change my holster to my holster that has a gear score of 240. But as you can see right here, it does lower my health a little bit, but that can easily be fixed with stamina mods. If you were to just add a stamina mod, you see that increases your health. But yeah, the main thing that I want to point out with this build is that you want to have 4 Sentry Call pieces. I've already uploaded a video showing how you can get all the gear sets. I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to go check it out. But yeah, for this build, you're going to need 4 Sentry Call pieces, a vest with Reckless, again, until that gets patched in the next update. And again, you can also use some gloves that have the Savage talent. But if you already have a bunch of critical hit chance like I do, then you don't really need them. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to my current Sentry's Call DPS PvP build. If y'all enjoyed the video or found it useful in any way, don't forget to do what you do. I'm A1. Thanks for watching.